listen to the sound as well, Mariana. So there you go. Okay. So here, what I'm doing first, you know that all the conversations are recorded, right? Everything is automatically saved on the channel that we have for a specific course, in this case, A9. So if you don't get the chance of being in a specific conversation or in a specific class, you can watch it. So what we're going to do, you may know TED Ed. Have you heard about TED or TED Ed before, Mariana?
No.
All right. So TED is a very interesting platform. It has many like parts. It will be elements. One of them is TED Ed. TED Ed is dedicated to share some lessons about a big amount of topics. It could be about music, about English, about marketing, science in general, etc., etc. All right. So you can find many kinds of videos here. We're going to watch perhaps this video over here. It's very short, as you can see, only 1 minute and 30 seconds, I think. We're going to watch it and we're going to have a conversation about it. So let's take a look at this. All right. So as you were able to see, it was only video. There's no voices there. Perhaps there were some captions, right? Trying to like ask some questions or trying to describe what was happening there. So I know I don't want to get like in a debate here, right? So what's live, what's like its origin and so on and so forth. But tell me what you were able to understand about this video, Maria.
Okay, in this video I can see the heard about the process, and also show that all of the world is in a chaos. And this video have a one question that is chaos for more chaos, and this is very attractive for me, this question, because it's true for me.
All right. In which way do you think that that's true? What do you mean by cows? And why is cows for cows, perhaps? What is happening there? What is the idea that they are trying to transmit over there, Maria?
Okay, basically, is the cause of the video is like the reproduction of the world, and the video define it the cause, like I can see, and the other cause is the war about people, and the problems the society have.
All right, perfect. Let's try to understand that idea that you're saying, that I agree with you also, because I have this tendency of having this kind of beliefs. We have a very short text over here. I'm going to read it for you. This is the description of the video. It says, from the first bang expanding endlessly across darkness, right, to the intrinsicates, right, of our planet. The history of humanity is right, inspire this video with its epic soundtrack visually explains our journey thus far. So here they are trying to show how everything started, right? How everything was like created in the very first place, related to this very first bang they are talking about, right? If you believe, for example, in the Big Bang, that is something that many scientists do. But what do you think about that, Mariana? Also, very briefly talking about that. Do you believe that life was originated by a very big explosion that created the universe, and then life was started like forming from that very specific explosion or chaos? What do you think about that? Do you think that's very likely to happen? Do you think that's impossible? What's your position on that?
Um, Personally, I think that the world can originate by explosion, that is the Big Bang theory, and I think that is very true. This theory.
Okay, all right. So for you, it's very, very possible that life could have started like by this big explosion that was the Big Bang, right?
Yes.
Okay, good, very good. Now, when they are talking about chaos, is that life started because of explosion, because of chaos, right? So you were saying, right, chaos for chaos and so on. So is chaos a very important element of life? For example, many people say that wars, even though they are bad, sometimes they are part of life. Killing, dying, fighting with each other. Do you think that that's part of life, or do you think that wars or fighting with other people can be avoided, Maria?
For me, chaos is very important for the life of all the humans, because if nobody and anything haven't a chaos, no, not nothing have I don't know what I say sentido, but
Okay.
um,
If anything makes sense, you can say anything makes sense.
yes, sense.
All right. Okay. So here, for example, of course, if you get to this web page, you're going to see something like interesting, like some questions and so on. And here we have, yes, I know that this is not like well written. There's some misspelling. But what do you think about aliens, Mariana? We know that we live in a very, very like huge universe that is endlessly expanding. How much do you believe that it's possible that aliens exist? And do you believe that we are near to find or to be in contact with them? If you do,
I think that we are near to have a contact with aliens, and also I think that is the I think the existence of aliens are very true, because in this quarantine last year,
mhm.
I can see, I think that is an alien, but some people say me that is not an alien, but I very think on me, and I can see alien on my window. Um, for me, it's very possible that aliens exist.
Okay, okay, good. Now talking about aliens, and this is perhaps no, we have 2 more minutes. You know that people sometimes believe that aliens can be like humans, right? That they have like head, a body, arms, legs. That is also very possible. But some other people believe that aliens could only be like very microscopic forms. For example, only the possibility of the existence of any plants outside the Earth, it's considered like aliens, right? Because that's a living being. Now, on your thoughts here, Mariana, do you believe that if aliens exist outside the Earth, how are they like, or what are they like? I mean, are they like humans, or do you believe that they are other forms of organisms? What are your thoughts about that?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part, please?
Yes,
My
yes,
internet is for
of course, right? Very shortly, I'm going to repeat the idea very shortly. Some people believe that aliens are like humans, right? They have the form or the shape of humans. Other people believe that aliens are something different, like something microscopic, could be some plants, could be only microorganisms. What do you believe or what do you think, Mariana? Do you believe that aliens are like humans, or do you believe that aliens are just other kind of organisms or microorganisms?
I think that the form shape of the aliens is like a humans because I I don't think in the past about the shape, but I can see movies with aliens, and I think that is the same in the real life.
Okay, okay. So you believe that they are very similar to humans in the sense that they may have heads, a body, arms, and legs. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now to finish this, I know, as you can see, we're going to have conversations about many things, Mariana. This was one of them. But to finish this up, Mariana, you know that lastly we got to send another like robot, right, to Mars. It happened very few days or weeks ago. It was the Perseverance, right? Perseverance arrived on Mars and they believe that they are going to be able to find like they believe is like past life, right, or evidence of past life. Do you believe that there was once life on Mars specifically, Mariana?
Um, Maybe because the opinion about the life in Mars is not only about the last year. It's also like um, I have a memory, I think, and I think that is very possible because the last news I can see that found water, a microscope, a little bit of water, and I think that is very possible the life on Mars.
Okay, yes, yes, that's right. They decided to send another robot because they found material that it's only formed when there's water over there, right? So they believe that there was a very giant lake there in the past. And I think Perseverance is now in a crater that was believed to be a very big lake many, many, perhaps thousands of years ago. And that's really interesting. Any final questions or comments that you may have before finishing today's conversation, Mariana?
It's clear for me. Is that okay?
Okay, perfect. As you can see here, I'm not teaching you anything, right? We're having a conversation, but we're going to have dates in which we're going to learn new words, new vocabulary from articles as well, but only also as today, just practicing speaking. So we finish here, Mariana, but remember, I'm going to ask again to Melissa. I don't know if you were able to contact her as well or to contact Executive English for the account that you need for Pearson. If you were not able to do it, I'm going to contact them again because you remember that you need access, you need the username and the password to get in the platform and to start working on the assignments. Okay?
Okay, okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much for being here, Mariana. I'll see you tomorrow for continuing the class.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
Bye bye. You're welcome.
Good evening, teacher.
Hello, Mariela. Good evening. How are you? Are you okay?
Yes, teacher, I am fine. Thanks.
Great. Perfect, Mariela. I'm glad to know that. So, Mariela, you know that we start a new course, and this new course, it means a new course in Pearson, and also we're using a different platform that is Google Classroom. Now, this is my question, Mariela. ¿Pudiste unir tu chat curso de Pearson y a lo que es la clase en Google Classroom, Mariela?
No, teacher.
Todavía no. Ok, hagamos eso entonces ahora, por favor, Mariela. We're going to go to the link that I'm going to send you. Vamos a ir al link que te estoy enviando, o directamente tal vez ya lo tienes ahí, que es el link de Pearson. Vayamos ahí para podernos unir ahora y puedas recibir de una vez las asignaciones, que es justamente esta semana la primera unidad que estamos llevando, ¿verdad? Entonces, déjame compartirte, si es que no lo tienes a la mano, en el chat ahorita te estoy pegando el link para ir directamente a Pearson. Cuando estés en Pearson, el mismo procedimiento de siempre, Mariela. Lo único que vamos a hacer es unirnos a un nuevo curso. Eso ya sabes que lo tienes en las opciones de Settings, Configuraciones y en Gestionar curso, right? Course Management. Y tienes la opción de unirte a un curso. Y cuando estés ahí, when you're there, you're going to copy this ID, please. Vamos a copiar este ID cuando estés en ese punto exacto, Mariela, y el ID te lo estoy pegando ahorita en el chat también.
Okay. One moment, please.
Yes, of course. Take your time. No, I'm here to help. Y justamente quiero que hagamos eso estando yo acá para que te pueda ayudar cualquier inconveniente que tengas.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have problems with connection of my internet.
All right, so it's not loading maybe. No está cargando tal vez, ¿no?
Sí, no puedo conectar el Wi-Fi de mi computadora. Un
All
momentito,
right.
por favor.
Yes, no problem. Try to do it. Hagamos lo posible para poder hacerlo ahora, así eso lo tenemos, digamos, tachado, que es algo muy importante y nos dedicamos directamente después a las conversaciones, prácticas. Pero mejor si lo tenemos eso. Y también otro punto que vamos a hacer es que nos vamos a unir a la clase de Google Classroom, que eso va a ser mucho más sencillo. Yo te voy a pasar directamente un link para que te puedas unir directamente a la clase. Y esa clase, ¿por qué la estoy creando, Mariela? Igual, si la puedes ver la clase de ayer. En esta clase de Google Classroom va a estar todo lo que voy a usar, tal como lo hacía en Google Drive. Justamente todo lo que uso, ¿no? Está en Google Drive, pero ahora va a estar gestionado u organizado ahí en Google Classroom, que es mucho más sencillo para que ustedes ingresen a la clase y tengan acceso a todo el material que voy a estar subiendo directamente ahí. Entonces, de igual manera, cuando puedas lograr la conexión, solamente vamos a entrar al link que te voy a pasar de igual manera al chat y vas a aparecer ya en lo que es la clase. Alright, so
Okay,
you have three things already. Tenemos tres cosas hasta el momento en lo que es el chat. El primer link que es para entrar a Pearson, el código para unirte a la clase, a la nueva clase que es de la 9, y el segundo link que es para unirte al curso en Google Classroom. Were you able to connect, Mariela? ¿Pudiste conectarte?
sí, teacher, ya estoy ingresando a la
Perfect.
plataforma de Pearson.
That's great. Let me know when you join. Déjame saber cuando te unas, porque ahorita tengo 7 estudiantes acá. Así que si te unes correctamente, esto se va a actualizar y vas a estar como la octava estudiante en el curso.
Okay. Aún sigue cargando, teacher.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Ahora
So,
sí.
in the meantime, great. Perfect. ¿no? Los mismos pasos de siempre. Entramos al producto que tienes, nos vamos a la ventana que se abre, y ese en curso en la parte superior derecha tienes la opción de unirte, o en configuraciones también, en gestión de cursos. One of those two, uno de esos dos, va a hacerlo.
Debo entrar a configuraciones, ¿no es cierto? Y ahí añadir.
Exactamente, a veces no sale en curso, a veces, y lo mejor es ir a configuraciones, y en configuraciones o settings, directamente te bajas.
Agregar producto.
No, hay otro que debe decir unirse a curso o algo parecido, Mariela. En
Ya
gestionar,
está.
ahí directamente. Haz clic ahí y pegas el código que tenemos en el chat, Mariela. Si lo tienes a la mano, o te lo puedo dictar también, pero es todo mayúscula, KFAK, ¿no? Guión PWME. Igual está en el chat. Y cuando te unas, vas a siguiente, a la pregunta que te dice si quieres transferir notas o traer notas contigo, tienes que seleccionar que no. ¿Por qué? Porque muchas veces se reutilizan los códigos y a veces quizá hay un código que tiene notas de antes. Entonces, para evitar cualquier confusión o problema, es mejor poner que no, para que en el curso entres con nada de notas y todo lo empieces a generar tú.
Ok. Sí, acabo de unirme, teacher.
Great. Let me update this. I'm going to refresh the page. Estoy refrescando la página. And there's 8. Y si tenemos 8, justamente quiere decir que sí lograste unirte. Yes, there you are. Ya estás ahí. Automáticamente ya debiste recibir asignaciones. Por favor, revisa eso, Mariela. Ve asignaciones. Ya deberías tener del módulo que corresponde ahora las
A
asignaciones de
ver.
la primera unidad, que es el módulo C.
Sí. Ajá, yes.
Great. So, as always, como siempre, tenemos 3 días de clase. Eso quiere decir lunes, miércoles y viernes. Hasta el día viernes a medianoche tenemos para terminar esta unidad, Mariela. Y el día viernes yo les voy a ya asignar el primer quiz para que lo hagan el fin de semana. All right?
Ok.
Perfect. Now, the
Perfect.
second is join also Google Classroom. También únete por favor a Google Classroom. Es simplemente hacer el clic en el segundo link que te mandé.
Ok, teacher.
Perfect. You're there, right? Pudiste unirte sin problemas.
Yes.
Great. Perfect, Mariela. So, we have everything with that. Tenemos todo con eso. Mira, invertimos el tiempo acá, pero es muy importante que hayamos podido hacer eso. Entonces, nuevamente te explico. Lo único que está variando es que estamos usando Google Classroom para que tú tengas acceso ahí a todas las presentaciones. Y es importante que tú te unas a esa clase cada que vayamos a comenzar clases los lunes, miércoles y viernes, Mariela. ¿Por qué? Porque ahí mismo yo ya voy a compartir el documento que siempre trabajamos en línea. Bueno, entonces para no estar mandando links, porque a veces sé que se salen, se borra el chat y demás también, entonces no es muy conveniente. Directamente todo va a estar en lo que es Google Classroom. Bueno, entonces cualquier trabajo se publica ahí, directamente de ahí lo abren. Todas las presentaciones que yo les muestro, ahí directamente las tienen. Tienen la presentación del curso también y tienen lo que es la presentación de Pearson, tú ya estás ahí. Pero prácticamente todo se va a manejar de esa manera y todo lo demás ya lo conoces, lo expliqué ayer, Mariela. El porcentaje, 30% asignaciones, 30% los quizzes, después de cada unidad y el 40% que es el examen final de la última parte. Do you have any questions about anything, Mariela? ¿Alguna pregunta acerca de lo que sea respecto a esta información?
No, no, teacher, ninguna. Thank you.
Great. So, one last thing, una última cosita también, Mariela, importante. Nosotros, cuando yo te asigno o siempre asigno la unidad, Nunca asigno dos cosas, Mariela, que son speaking y pronunciation. Eso les mencioné antes, es importante que para que ustedes practiquen esto, vengan a curso. En asignaciones está todo lo que yo les asigno, que va a tener nota. Pero en curso tienen que practicar lo que es esta sección, speaking y pronunciation. Eso no es por nota porque eso yo lo evalúo directamente aquí, en las clases de los martes y jueves. Y ahora lo que vamos a hacer también estos días es que vamos a revisar brevemente speaking y pronunciation acá en las clases. Eso quiere decir que el día jueves vamos a estar viendo un poco esto, pero es importante que ya le des un vistazo para que veas de qué se trata. ¿Ok?
Okay, perfect.
Perfect. That's it then, Mariela. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow in class.
Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, Daniela. Are you there?
Hello, teacher. Yes.
Great. Perfect. Is everything okay?
Yes, yes, teacher. Sorry, I couldn't enter to the class yesterday.
Oh, yes, yes. I saw you, but I think you were having some problems, right? Or something happened and then you disappeared.
I had an inconvenience, so sorry.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. It happens, Daniela. You know that everything is recorded, so you can take a look at it in the video. But anyway, I don't know. I think you were not able to join Pearson, right, Daniela? Are you in the new course in Pearson?
I'm not really sure, but I'm going to.
Okay. Just in case, I'm sending three things in the chat, Daniela. The first one is the link for Pearson. The second one is the ID to join the course. And the third one, this is new, Daniela, is the Google Classroom course. So right now, and this course, instead of having everything in Google Drive, we're going to have everything in Google Classroom, right? Indirectly, it's also in Google Drive, but it's better to share it on Google Classroom. Check it,
Okay.
please. Be sure that you are here. I'm going to share my screen, Daniela. I'm sharing it right now. And I'm going to show you the list of the students who are in this course. So I'm going to settings. All right. The new course is A9. All right. A9 Intermediate, March 2021. And my name. And the students are the following. Are you in this list, Daniela?
No, I think that I'm not.
Okay, so let's join, please. You know, you have to go to settings. And when you go to settings, you have to select join a course. All right.
Okay.
And in this part, please copy and paste the code that is in the chat. Let's do that now, please, Daniela. So I'm sure that you are here and we have that ready.
Okay.
Let me know when you are in the course. I'm going to refresh my page and I'm going to verify that you're here.
Okay, I have to go. Okay.
You have to go to settings, and when you are in settings, course management or gestión de curso, and then join a course or unirse a curso.
Okay. I think that I am.
Okay, good. So let me refresh this webpage. Voy a refrescar. If there are 9 students, ya hay 9 estudiantes porque habían 8. If there are 9 students, it means that you were able to join. Quiere decir que pudiste unirte. So let me check. It's 8 so far. Ahorita solamente me sale 8 estudiantes. Daniel, I'm
Okay.
going to check one more time. Voy a ver una vez más. Yes, only these students. Solamente esos estudiantes me salen. Were you able to introduce the code? ¿Pudiste poner el código?
Sí, como opciones me salen A9 módulo C, pero no el nombre. A8 intermediate y A7 August. Esas tres.
Ok, pero te sale como que ya tienes esos cursos, estás unida en esos cursos entonces.
Sí, y
Ah,
bueno, la
ya.
opción sería A9 módulo C, pero no me sale tu nombre.
Then that's not, it must be a different course because it has to be like this. Ese tendría que ser el nombre del curso, Daniela. Tendría que ser A9 Intermediate, March 2021, and my name. Todito eso tendría que salir. Intentemos una vez más. Nuevamente, por si acaso, voy a copiar y pegar el código del curso, pero es raro. Tendría que ya unirse. Entonces, one more time. Ahí te deben salir los cursos que ya tenías antes, pero para unirte nuevamente, tendrías que seleccionar sí o sí la opción de unirte a un curso. So, that's the code one more time. ¿No?
Ok.
Entonces, this is the procedure, ¿no? El procedimiento sería el siguiente. Tú inicias sesión, you select the product, seleccionas el producto de siempre, and you always are in course, siempre apareces en curso. Hay dos opciones para unirte si estás en tu computadora, Daniela. The first option, here, en la parte superior derecha, en esta partecita, aquí sale crear curso para mí, pero para ti aquí sale unirte a curso. That's the first option, esa es la primera opción. Si no te sale aquí la opción de unirte a curso en la sección de curso, nos vamos a settings o configuraciones y en la parte de course management, gestión de curso, una de las opciones tiene que ser unirse a curso y al estar ahí tendrías que poder unirte. Déjame saber si es que vas a poder unirte, Daniela, o si te sale algún error.
Bueno, le puse y me sale, todavía puede tener acceso a sus actividades anteriores completadas. Sin embargo, si se une a un curso por primera vez y desea acceder a sus cursos anteriores, entonces asegúrese de transferirlos. Y me
Okay,
sale no
yes,
transferir o
exactly. Don't, select don't transfer. Seleccionemos no transferir porque necesitamos que todo esté desde cero para este curso.
Ok. Dice, la acción de unirse a un curso está en progreso, inténtelo más tarde.
Perfect. It means that you are here. Significa que ya debes estar acá. Eso lo puedes cerrar, la ventanita. Let me load this. Déjame recargar esto. If it's nice, yes, there you are. Ahora sí estás en el curso, Daniela. Please, you have to do the following, Daniela. Go to assignments and check that you have all the assignments that I already assigned. Because yesterday I already assigned the first unit, Daniela.
Ah, ok. Mm,
All right. Do you have the assignment, Daniela? Do you see them?
um, is chair? Yeah, yes, I have it.
Okay, perfect. There you go. So all of those assignments, right? It's A9 Intermediate March 2021, and it's everything in Model C, right? Model C C1. All of those activities, Daniela, are for Friday at 11:59 p.m. All right, as always, you always have three classes to complete everything, right? Monday, of course, you have Tuesday, Wednesday, that is the class, Thursday again, and Friday. So on Friday is the last day to complete these assignments, Daniela. And the last thing that we need to do, please, I need you to join the Google Classroom course, Daniela, is the last link that I shared with you.
Yes, teacher, ya me uní.
Okay, you are already there. You joined, right? You already joined
Yes,
the
I
class.
joined.
Perfect. There you go. So we have 5 minutes. We're going to do something a little bit different in terms of Tuesdays and Thursdays. I mean, we're going to practice all the conversations and everything we always do, Daniela. But it's important that, as I mentioned before, you know that I assigned everything except for speaking and pronunciation. So please, Daniela, it's important that to practice that, you go to course, you open the unit, and you look for speaking and you look for pronunciation to practice this by yourself. But as
Okay.
I know that sometimes it's hard for some of you to do it, in class, It means only on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the conversations. We are going to be checking these pronunciations rules with me so I can correct your pronunciation and see that you are doing everything all right. All right? So let's pay attention to this. I'm sharing this. Let me know if you are able to listen to the audio, please, Daniela. I'm going to play this.
Listen to these lines from the dialogue.
Yes,
All right.
teacher.
Can you hear it? Good. So let's listen to this.
Yes. Okay.
Listen to these lines from the dialogue. The word as, marked in blue, is usually unstressed and pronounced with the short, unclear vowel schwa when we use it in a phrase, such as I was saying. Notice that the weak pronunciation of as can sound the same as the weak pronunciation of is or has, such as, what time is it? And everyone has heard of him.
All right. So what is the idea here, Daniela? Sometimes this word as is not going to be stressed. No va a recibir este acento notorio. It's going to be unstressed. Va a estar justamente sin este acento. So it means that it's going to be like very unnoticeable. Va a ser casi innotable in terms of the speaking, in términos de speaking. So let's listen to this example.
I can't hear.
All right, let me play it one more time.
She's about as tall as you are.
All right,
Okay.
one more time.
She's about as tall as you are.
Right? So we don't pay that much attention to this SS. The main thing here is this tall and the comparison, right? She's about as tall as you are, right? She's about as tall as you are. As you can see, I'm not stopping that much in these words. Yo no estoy deteniendo mucho en esas palabras porque no tienen que tener mucho interés, mucho stress, como se lo diría. So let's read this, please, Daniela. Let's read this example.
Okay. She's about as tall as you are.
Great, right? As tall as you are. As tall as you are. So that as está siendo transformado a as tall as you are. Prácticamente, right? Practically it changes the pronunciation and it's not that important. Cambia la pronunciación y no es tan importante con otras palabras. Let's listen to the second example.
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
All right? Again, the same idea. One more time.
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
Let's read this, please, Daniela.
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
Okay, very good, right? So this is not important again, right? Things can be or can't be as bad as they seem, right? As bad as. So this is practically one word. Es como si sonara como una sola palabra. As tall as, right? As tall as. Then as bad as. As bad as.
Okay.
Right? So the idea is that they are part of that. Son parte de esto. So one more time. Una vez más, leamos solamente esto de acá, Daniela. One more time, this part.
As tall as.
One more time, I'm going to repeat. As tall as. As tall as.
Tallest.
Good. And one more time in context. Una vez más en contexto.
She's about as tall as you are.
All right. As tall as you are. One more time, please. Everything this time, Daniela.
Okay, she's about as tall as you are.
Good. Great. Perfect. You got the idea very well there. Ahí te salió muy bien y esa es la idea, Daniela. It doesn't have to be stress. No tiene que haber mucho interés en esas palabras. Se pierden en el contexto. Let's read now these ones. Aquí solamente hay una, but it's the same idea. Es la misma idea. Let's read it.
As I recall, you did really well.
Right? If you pay attention very well to the listening, si prestamos atención muy bien al listening, this I recall is stronger. Este I recall es más fuerte que este as, right? As I recall, you didn't really, or you did really well, right? As I recall, as I recall. One more time.
As I recall, you did really well.
One more time, please, and let's read it, Daniel, after this.
As I recall, you did really well.
Okay, let's read it, please.
As I recall, you did really well.
Very good, right? As I recall, you did really well. So the main idea is I recall and you did really well. But this S, again, it's changing, right? As I recall, is Ira, right? And if you realize that's the thing, when you get like very good at English, you're going to be able to do like this. We're going to call links. All right, this is like advanced English in speaking. El inglés avanzado en speaking es cuando eres capaz justamente de mencionar esas palabras como si fueran solamente una palabra. Y una persona que no conoce el inglés va a decir, es una palabra, dos palabras, tres palabras, porque eso se leería como, it would be like, as I recall, all right, as I recall, as a matter, as a matter, as a matter, right? So they are like linked. Están como conectados. Let's go to the last example. One more time. It's not.
As a matter
Okay, here it goes.
As a matter of fact, I do.
One more time.
As a matter of fact, I do.
All right, so as a matter of fact, I do. And here, the most important idea is this one. I do. That's why it has lots of stress here, Daniela. Let's read this, please.
Okay, as a matter of fact, I do.
Perfect, right? As a matter of fact, I do. As I recall, as bad as tall as. So, to finish today, para terminar hoy, vamos a terminar de leer solamente las palabras que están en medio o después de as tall as bad as I recall, as a matter of fact. Let's read that, please, Daniela.
As tall as badass, as I recall, as a matter.
As a matter of fact.
Fact.
One more time, a little bit more linked. Una vez más, pero un poco más conectado este as con las demás palabras.
As a matter of fact.
Great. Perfect. There you go. So we're going to finish with this, Daniela. Thank you again for being part of the conversation. I'll see you tomorrow for the next class. All right?
Okay. Good night, teacher. Thank you.
Perfect. Bye. Good night. Hello, Gaston. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, teacher. I'm fine. And you?
That's great. I'm fine. Thank you, Gaston. Gaston, you were able to join the class and the Google Classroom course, right? You are on Pearson and you are in Google Classroom. Is that correct, Gaston?
Yes, teacher.
Perfect. Good. So we have everything ready for you and with you, Gaston. Now, as I told you yesterday, we're going to be like adding something extra for the conversations on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tenemos justamente un elemento extra. Is that we need to practice the two things that are in the unit, Gaston. Here we're going to be practicing speaking, of course, but also pronunciation. And right now, I'm going to be practicing this specific lesson with you, Gaston. That is the unstressed words as. Unstressed means that you almost don't pronounce that word, all right? Or it doesn't have an important accent. Ok, significa que no tiene un acento muy importante, no es muy notorio, no se lo pronuncia de la manera en que se pronunciaría normalmente. This as. In comparisons, we use this. Usamos en comparaciones. Or to show something, ¿no? Para mostrar algo. Let's listen to this. Tell me if you're able to listen what I listen, Gaston.
Listen to these lines from the dialogue.
Okay. Can you listen to that, Gaston?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. So let's listen to this explanation.
Listen to these lines from the dialogue. The word as, marked in blue, is usually unstressed and pronounced with the short, unclear vowel schwa when we use it in a phrase, such as I was saying. Notice that the weak pronunciation of as can sound the same as the weak pronunciation of is or has, such as, what time is it? And everyone has heard of him.
Good. So the main idea here, Gaston, is the following. La idea principal es la siguiente. When you have this word, the word is as. But here, you pronounce it very weakly. Pero en estos ejemplos vamos a pronunciarlos muy débilmente, right? It's weak. It's a weak pronunciation. Es una pronunciación débil. ¿Por qué? Porque no tienen que tener tanto énfasis. No tienen que tener tanto stress, como lo llaman en inglés.
Teacher, entonces cuando dice unstressed significa que no tiene mucho énfasis.
Exactly. There you go. Unstressed means like No tiene un acento, no tiene un énfasis y es una pronunciación débil. That's the meaning of unstressed. Okay?
Okay.
Perfect. And you're going to see here these two words, estas dos palabras as and as. Mira, yo voy a leer poniendo énfasis, que sería she's about as tall as you are. Así es si pones énfasis, pero escucha cómo es, como tendría que ser en el ejemplo.
She's about as tall as you are.
All right. As you can see, you don't pronounce it strongly. No se lo pronuncia fuertemente. Si logras escuchar a detalle, prácticamente suena como una palabra, como as tall as. She's about as tall as you are. Pero no estoy poniendo énfasis en el as. No estoy diciendo as tall as you are. No. I'm saying she's about as tall as you are. Right? She's about as tall as you are. It's like saying, ella es aproximadamente tan alta como tú. Right? As tall as you are. One more time.
She's about as tall as you are.
Right? So let's keep that idea, please, Gaston. As tall as. She's about as tall as you are. Let's read everything, Gaston, please.
She's about as tall as you are.
Good. Exactly. And you're going to try to read one more time, but this time try to link even more. Vamos a leer una vez más, pero vas a tratar de conectar incluso un poco más estas tres palabras. As tall as. All right? She's about as tall as you are. She's about as tall as you are. One more time, please, Gaston.
She's about as tall as you are.
Good. Great. I don't know if you notice the difference, Gaston. No sé si se nota la diferencia cuando pronuncio con énfasis, con stress, y cuando pronuncio unstressed. Is it clear the difference? ¿Se nota la diferencia, Gaston?
Sí, se nota la diferencia.
All right. Let's go to the second example. It's exactly the same.
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
All right. Again, look, no estamos leyendo de esta manera. Voy a leer como no tendría que ser, que no está mal. All right. When you stress this word, it's not bad. No está mal cuando lo lees así. Pero si quieres tener esa pronunciación más fluida y tal vez en un inglés americano, es lo que tendría que hacer. La lectura con stress normal sería la siguiente. Things can be as bad as they seem. Things can be as bad as they seem. Pero si escuchamos el audio, no ponemos énfasis en eso. So, it's unstressed.
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
Right? So, unstressed would be, things can be as bad as they seem. Right? Things can be as bad as. So, again, nuevamente si leemos esto con una fluidez de un nativo, esto suena como una sola palabra. As bad as. As bad as. Things can be as bad as they seem. Things can be as bad as they seem. So one more time and let's read this, Gaston.
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
Okay, let's read it, please.
Things can be as they seem.
Okay, one more time. We're going to read only this part and it has to be like this, Gaston. As bad as. As bad as. Let's repeat that, please, Gaston.
Things can be bad as
Don't worry, one more time. Let's only read these three words. Solamente vamos a leer estas tres palabras.
As bad as.
As bad as. Good. Very good. As bad as. As bad as. One more time, please, Gaston.
Things can be as bad as they seem.
Perfect. There you go. Está perfecto. All right. So if you realize, you can speak English more fluently when you can link these words. All right. The fluent English is the English that is linked. El inglés fluido es el inglés que está conectado. Because you have contractions, because you have these stressed rules. Porque tenemos contracciones y estas reglas de acentuación o no acentuación.
Teacher, ¿por qué se pronuncia así?
First, because of the emphasis and the idea of this sentence. Por el énfasis y por la idea de esta oración, Gastón. En esta oración tú quieres hacer la comparación entre ella y entre tú. Entonces, ¿cuáles son los elementos más importantes de aquí, Gastón? Ella y tú. Y evidentemente, el adjetivo. Entonces, queremos poner énfasis. We want to put some emphasis in these three words. El énfasis que queremos comunicar son estas tres palabras. Eso quiere decir que las palabras entre medio o conectores no tienen que tener tanta prioridad. Simplemente por eso, Gastón, cuando tú mencionas algo que no tiene que tener tanta prioridad, tú lo puedes leer de esta manera, unstressed, porque el mensaje más importante está en la palabra tall, en la palabra she y en la palabra you are. All right, that's why you say she's about as tall as you are. All right, she's about as tall as you are. Por eso cuando leemos estas tres, as tall as, la más notoria es tall. All right, tall. Es simplemente eso. Énfasis, lo que quieres comunicar. Estos conectores comparativos no son tan importantes porque la persona que habla inglés y habla inglés bien ya sabe que estás usando esto, solamente porque estás leyendo as tall as. Entonces no se necesita énfasis. Lo mismo acá y acá también la misma idea. La idea principal viene después del as. So when the idea is more important than this word, cuando la idea es más importante que esta palabra, Gastón, use these unstressed words. Usa esta lógica de unstressed. But if you are comparing something, pero si tú estás comparando algo y tú crees que es muy importante hacer énfasis en esta palabra de comparación, puedes hacer énfasis y lo pronuncias tal cual es, que es as. All right, as. Pero nuevamente, es por el contexto y por la transmisión de la idea, porque otras palabras son más importantes. I don't know if it's understandable for you, Gaston.
Yes, teacher, I understand.
Great. So we have two more examples, Gaston, to finish today. We have 3 minutes, but let's listen to this. Again, this is my example if I stress this word. As I recall, you did really well. All right? As I recall, you did really well. But let's listen how it is.
As I recall, you did really well.
Right?
Sir.
He or she is not paying attention to this word. Is, as I recall, you did real well, right? As I recall. And again, this can be like one word, sorry, all right? As I recall, you did really well. As I recall, you did really well. So one more time.
As I recall, you did really well.
And if you see, si te das cuenta, Gastón, aquí es donde pone más lento y lee las palabras una por una, porque este es el mensaje principal. One more time.
As I recall, you did really well.
Right? You did really well. Aquí se lee completas las palabras y bien. ¿Por qué? Por el énfasis, por la idea que se transmite. Pero esta primera parte,
As I recall, you did.
right? So recall, rápido. No importa. Ya entiendes que estoy diciendo, no es importante. Mi mensaje importante está aquí. Right? So let's read this, please, Gaston.
As I recall, you did really well.
Great. Perfect. So I recall you did really well, right? You did really well. Good. The last one.
As a matter of fact, I do.
The same idea, right? That's like one word. As a matter of fact, I do. And here, the main idea is this one. Only 2 words, but this is more important than this. This is only complement, Gaston. As a matter of fact, I do. This I do is the important idea. One more time.
As a matter of fact, I do.
All right. As a matter of fact, I do. Let's read that, please, Gaston.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Perfect. So, we're going to learn how to use these words. Vamos a aprender muy bien cómo usar as en las lecciones, Gastón. But as you can see, you can use as to make comparisons. Un uso, hacer comparaciones. As I recall, to make like introductions, para hacer introducciones. Tal como recuerdo, o como recuerdo, as a matter of fact, right? De hecho, it's like saying that, right? De hecho, o cuando quieres hablar de algo que es real, all right? As a matter of fact, I do. De hecho, sí, ¿no? Sí recuerdo. I recall that. Do you have any questions or comments about this pronunciation exercise, Gaston?
No, teacher.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. So look, this is what we're going to add in the conversations that we're going to have. Of course, we're only going to have extra conversations, but I don't know if you agree with you, Gaston. Is it okay for you if we work these pronunciation rules and these speaking rules on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Gaston? What do you think?
Sorry, teacher.
Is it okay for you, Gaston, if we work the way we're working pronunciation on Tuesdays and Thursdays? ¿Está bien?
Yes, teacher.
Okay.
Yes, my pronunciation and my speaking is the most bad in me.
Okay, good, Gaston. So we're going to be working a lot then with you, and you're going to see that you're going to improve your pronunciation a lot. Okay?
Okay, teacher. Teacher,
Perfect.
I have a question.
Yes, tell me, Gaston.
When I read in English, I understand, but when I listening, I don't understand.
Yes, that's very common because look, the two most difficult skills in English are listening and speaking. And the only way in which you can improve that, Gastón, lo único para mejorar eso, and there's no other way, you have to be surrounded by the language. Tienes que rodearte del idioma. Look, something that I always advise, algo que siempre aconsejo es lo siguiente. All of you have access to smartphones and all of you have like earsets, right? Todos tienen celulares inteligentes y un par de auriculares. So I would recommend you, Gaston, to download podcasts, all right, English podcast en inglés, que son transmisiones de radio pregrabadas en inglés. Download that, Gaston, and try to listen to that almost every day. All right, almost every day. Trata de escuchar aunque sea todos los días. It doesn't matter if you don't understand all the words. No importa que no entiendas todas las palabras. Even if it's like obvious or not, aunque parezca obvio o no, when you listen to English, you are starting like training your ear. Empiezas ya a entrenar a tu oído. So the first thing that I would recommend, Gaston, I'm writing in the chat, estoy escribiendo en el chat. If you look for BBC and podcasts, all right, es en el chat, you're going to be able to download podcasts of many topics, de muchos topics, Gaston. Try to download many podcasts on your cell phone. You can look it on Play Store or an App Store, en la store de tu celular. Es una aplicación. Tienen que haber aplicaciones de BBC. And one of those apps is going to let you download the podcast. Una de esas aplicaciones te deja descargar lo que es el podcast. Try to listen to that. There are conversations, lectures, son conversaciones, incluso algunas clases that you listen and you listen. Try to listen to that when you are in the bus. Try to listen to that when you're walking, right? Try to listen to that every time because that's the only way in which you are going to be training your ear, Gaston. Okay?
Okay, teacher.
All right, and also with me, you're going to be practicing as well. So we finish here, Gaston. I'll see you tomorrow for the next class.
Okay. Thank you, teacher. See you
You're
tomorrow.
welcome. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye, teacher.
Bye-bye. Hello, Marcelo. Are you there?
Hello, teacher. Yes, I'm there.
That's perfect, Marcelo. So we're going to begin with the class, Marcelo. You know that we're going to be something at the beginning of the conversations on Tuesday and Thursday so that we can cover the pronunciation part that it's always part of what? Of the tests. So I'm sharing my screen and you're going to be able to listen to the sound that my computer is also producing. So I'm going to go and today we're going to check at least one of the rules with pronunciation. That is S, right? The word S. This word S is going to be unstressed, Marcelo, when you don't want to put emphasis in this word, right? The pronunciation unstressed means that you're not going to put emphasis on this. It's going to be pronounced weakly, all right? In a weak way. That's unstressed. For example, let's listen to the explanation of Pearson.
Listen to these lines from the dialogue. The word as, marked in blue, is usually unstressed and pronounced with the short, unclear vowel schwa when we use it in a phrase, such as I was saying. Notice that the weak pronunciation of as can sound the same as the weak pronunciation of is or has, such as, what time is it? And everyone has heard of him.
Good. So as you can see in these examples, Marcelo, well, as you were able to listen, I don't read this because it's not a rule. It's because of the context. If you want to put emphasis in the next idea, you don't need to stress this word a lot, Marcelo. For example, if you read this, as I was saying, It's okay. But if the main idea is these words over here, I was saying, then this is going to be unstressed and it's going to be as I was saying, right? You don't read this as I was saying, you only read it as I was saying, like part of the next one. Like, what time is it? Right? What time is it? This is very weak. This S is very weak. And here, everyone's heard of him. Everyone has heard of him, right? I don't say everyone has heard of him. No, I say everyone's heard of him, right? So this has is S. So this is what we're going to do here, Marcelo. Here, if I read this normally, it will be, she's about as tall as you are. That is normal pronunciation. But if you want to read fluently, all right, and if you want to improve your speaking and put emphasis on the main ideas here, you should read it like this.
She's about as tall as you are.
And what's the difference? I'm not saying as tall as you are. I'm saying as tall as, right? She's about as tall as you are. As tall as you are. So the stress is not the main thing of S. It's going to be as tall as you are. One more time and let's read this, please, Marcelo.
She's about as tall as you are.
Okay, let's read it, please.
She's about as tall as you are.
Good, perfect. The stress is not in these two words. The main idea is she, the main idea is tall, the main idea is you. So tallest is only like complement. Great. The second example is the same.
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
Right? Again, they are linked, right? As bad as. As bad as. Things can't be as bad as they seem, right? Things can't be as bad as they seem. So, as bad as. It's like one word, right? It's like only one word. As bad as they seem. One more time.
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
So, let's read, please, Marcelo.
Things can be as bad as they seem.
Good. One more time, please.
Things can be as bad as they seem. So.
Good. Good. The main important idea is this one, right? As bad as, and it's good. Very good. And it's the same here, Marcelo. You're going to see, if I read this stressing all the words, it will be like this. As I recall, you did really well. As I recall, you did really well. But the main idea is this one. You did really well. So let's see how they pronounce this.
As I recall, you did really well.
Right? If you realize, Marcelo, the first part is fast and linked. As I recall, fast. But here, she says, you did really well. It's slower, right? Because this is the main idea. This is the introduction, and this is the main idea. So,
as I recall, you did really well.
Right? As I recall, you did really well. So, sorry. It's like one word again. Sorry. As I recall, you did really well. As I recall, you did really well. One more time, and let's read it, please.
As I recall, you did really well.
Let's read it, please, Marcel.
Okay. So I recall you did really well.
Good. Perfect. Right? So the first part is unstressed. So I recall. The same over here. Let's try to read this without listening to the example, Marcelo. Read this the way you believe it is.
Okay. So matter of fact, I do.
Good. Perfect. As a matter of fact, I do. Right? So as like one big shot.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Good. As a matter of fact, I do. And here the main idea is I do. As you can see, these are like introductions. As I recall, as a matter of fact, only introductions. But the main idea is you did really well, or I do. One more time.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Good. So one more time, let's read this one, please, Marcelo.
Okay. As a matter of fact, I do.
Perfect. And that's it. I don't know if you understand why we unstress these words, Marcelo.
Really, I don't know, teacher.
All right, don't worry. Here, I would say something that it would help understanding this, Marcelo. It's only matter of context and the main ideas that you want to transmit. For example, right? If you are trying to say something and you believe that your main idea is the color of the object that you are mentioning, you're going to say the sentence like this, right? I have a blue book, right? I have a blue book. But all the other words, I have a is unstressed. I have a blue is stressed. Book is kind of unstressed or stressed. So it's the same here, Marcelo. When you are using other words that are more important, here this is a comparison, right? She's about as tall as you are. What are the main ideas here, Marcelo? She is the main idea, you is the main idea, and the adjective, tall. That's why she's about as tall. Tall is clear. She's about as tall as you are. So she, tall, and you are the stressed words because that's what you want to transmit, Marcelo. So it doesn't make sense. Only makes sense here, Marcelo, if you understand that in English, you always put more stress on very specific words. And the other words in English are kind of unstressed because you don't want to like confuse the listener and you want to put more emphasis in important words. Here, the important words are things, can be, right? But, and they. Here, the main idea is you did really well. And here, the main idea is I do. It means that these connectors, as I recall, as a matter of fact, are not important. All right. So the only explanation for this, Marcelo, is when the word as is not important in your main idea, you can unstress the word. All right. That's the only rule, Marcelo. I don't know if it's a little bit clearer now.
Okay, yeah, teacher, I understood. That's the difference between the verbs that have stress, I suppose, like in Spanish.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, that's
okay,
correct. That's correct. All right.
okay.
Perfect. So in English, of course, in many other languages, you have these ideas, main ideas that need to be stressed, and other ideas that are going to be unstressed, right? The same as here. In the question, what time is it? The main idea is what time, right? Is it is not the main idea. So I'm not going to ask, what time is it? No, I'm going to say, what time is it, right? What time is it? So the last part, as you can see, or as you can hear, is very unclear, right? Is very unclear, is weak, is very weak. What time is it, right? What time is it? So that is it is changing to is it. The same here. The main idea is everyone, right? Everyone. So you're going to say everyone's heard of him, right? I'm not going to say everyone has heard of him. No, everyone's heard of him. So the same idea. You are unstressing this word because it's not important. The main idea here is everyone. That's very strong. So good. I think we're going to be kind of finishing here, but I would like you to make some comments, perhaps not on this, Marcelo, but I would like you to tell me what do you think are your weaknesses in your speaking skills, and what's the thing that you think that you are missing in terms of speaking, Marcelo?
Mm, what kind of problems do I have about speak?
Yeah, perhaps it could be problems. Sometimes they're not problems, but some weaknesses that you have, right? Something that you believe that you can do better in speaking.
Okay. Uh, I think that words like question.
Okay. Like what words, for example? Well, give me an example. I don't understand very well.
I think when I say I have a question, I think that I have a problem in the word of question. I think. the pronunciation.
The pronunciation of the word question, you're telling me?
Yeah.
Okay, what is wrong with that pronunciation according to you, Marcelo?
That part I suppose question. I think.
Yes, it's not actually as complex, but yes, it has some variations according to the accents because as in Bolivia, you have accents for Santa Cruz, Cochabamba, for La Paz, right? Different accents. It's the same in the United States. If you go to California, it's going to be different than if you go to New York or to Miami or to any other right state. So it's going to vary a little bit, Marcelo. But the main idea there in question, yes, it's only that idea as you were pronouncing it, quest, right? Quest, but question, right? Question. That S is going to be like a little bit like sh. So question, right? And that T is going to be like ch, a very strong ch. So question. All right? Do you got it?
Oh yeah, teacher. Thanks.
Okay. Don't worry. We're going to practice all those words that you have doubts about in terms of pronunciation. You're going to practice it with me, and you can ask me those questions, right, in these conversations. All right?
All right, teacher.
Perfect. That's going to be it then for today. And Marcelo, remember that you have to complete all the assignments for Friday. That's for the first unit, and tomorrow we continue with the lesson.
Okay. Thanks, teacher.
Okay. Perfect. You're very welcome. See you tomorrow, Marcelo.
See you tomorrow.
Bye bye. Hello, good evening, Lourdes. How are you?
Good evening, teacher. I'm fine, thank you. And you?
That's great. I'm fine, thanks. Are you ready for today's conversation or practice?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
ready.
good. Very good, Lourdes. So, you know that we're going to be like implementing or adding something new to the conversations or practices that we have on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that's related to the works or to these specific sections in speaking and vocabulary. You know that this is something I don't assign right as part of the unit because I evaluated this differently. But as you told me, pronunciation is usually part of the tests or of the quizzes. That's why you're also going to be checking these pronunciation rules with me in these conversations that we have on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So today we're going to take a look at this rule and stressed words like S, and the next conversation, which is Thursday, we're going to take a look at linking words together. But before starting this, Lourdes, I want to ask you something. What do you think is like the weakness, or what do you think are the weaknesses that you have in terms of speaking and pronunciation? What do you feel are things that you can improve more, or that you feel that you don't do very well?
Um, I think that the biggest problem that I have, I don't know if it's related with the speaking or pronunciation, but I think that I take so much time in my mind trying to translate what I want to say
Oh,
before say it.
yes.
So I think that it's my biggest problem. But I noticed that after these conversation sessions,
Uh-huh.
I I didn't so often like before.
Okay, okay, that's good, and that's really really good to know, Lourdes. I'm asking this, and actually, I'm going to ask you one more question here because it's interesting what you're telling me. That's a very common, very common problem with non-native English speakers, right? So, my question goes here to understand a little bit more about the problem or the thing that you're telling me. How did you learn English, Lourdes? When you were learning English, were you using a lot of Spanish to make translations, or what was the process of learning for you?
Um, I don't know. I don't really remember, but I think that I started learning English at school, like in kindergarten, at primaria.
Yes, yes, primary. Okay, good.
And then when I was a teenager, I started watching, not watching, listening to music in English. My mom tried to teach me some words because uh, she she took English classes,
Mhm.
and I used to go with her, but not like a student because I I used to went with her uh, like a company because I was
Okay.
so child, so little,
Mhm.
and then her teacher tried to uh, teach me some things. And I remember that he said sometime that biggest mistake is trying to uh, translate these things, and trying to put like write the pronunciation
Mhm.
exactly in Spanish. I don't know if you understand me.
Yes, yes,
Like,
yes.
I don't know if, for example, play, write like PLI, no, PLEI, uh, and that, no.
Okay. All
So
right.
then I started watching movies and series in English with subtitles. But and then I took some classes
Mhm.
with actually I took a program with natural English. I
Okay.
think that that was the most important classes that I took in English.
All
But
right.
then I could say that by myself, maybe listening to music or watching movies.
All right. All right. Look, it's very important that I know all those things because there are many things, many patterns, right, that I can perhaps identify to help you improve your speaking skills. But what you're telling me is actually great because you've been related to English, right, since you were very little. And that's great. You had contact with the language with a very, very short age. And then you started having even more contact with this language by listening to music, right? And also you had experience with that teacher who mentioned something about not translating. That's great. I agree with that idea. Sometimes, and perhaps you realize that I try to avoid it to use Spanish as I can. I don't really like to use Spanish here. Sometimes even in the program they told me to do it because you know that some students don't have a good level as others, and I try to uh, make them be right at least the level that it's supposed to be in the class. But sometimes it's hard. So with some of them that asked me to use some Spanish, I'm doing it, but I already told them that it's better they can understand everything in English, even though they don't understand all the words, even though they can understand absolutely every idea that I'm telling, right? It's important that even those very few ideas they understand are only in English. So that's important. I agree on that with your teacher. It's better to use English and only English to avoid translating on our heads because the problem that you're telling me it's more common, all right, it's more common in people that use Spanish as a way to learn English. It happens a lot, but it can also be related to that you are not that used to listening English or speaking English that often. Perhaps this, you told me, right, that this has been like helping you a lot, or at least a little, in terms that I think that listening to English and speaking English in these conversations, it's making you, right, and making your mind getting more comfortable with the idea of only English without any translations. Because I think that's the part to which you want to get, right? I think everyone that wants to learn English wants to get to a part in which they can speak English without using Spanish, not even speaking and not even in their minds. So that's what I want to get here, and perhaps I'm going to help you doing that, and I'm sure that other teachers here as well. So yes, it's better if you relate the words to pictures. It's better if you relate the actions, right, to something that you saw. So that's important, and it's great that you're telling me that you listen to music in English and that you watch movies in English, even though you can use subtitles, but it's better sometimes if you don't use them. But uh, what you're doing is great. Sometimes people don't like music in English, they don't like to watch movies, or they don't like to watch, right, something or some series in English. They change it to Spanish and they want to learn English, but that's way hard to do it. So here goes my second question, Lourdes. What do you think was like, of those things, if you have to organize that in terms of priority, one being the one thing that helped you way more than the other things in learning English, which one do you think was the activity or the thing that helped you the most in English, Lourdes?
Um, I don't know. Maybe the series. Yes, watch TV series because I don't know. I uh, I really liked listen the original voices.
Mhm.
When I feel so comfortable,
Yeah.
I try to watch it with or without subtitles or with subtitles in English to try
Right.
to understand some words because sometimes I can't understand very well some words because they talk. I don't know if they talk fast, but maybe the contractions and all those things that makes a little difficult to me understand better.
All
But
right.
I think that that is the most important activity that helped me with my English and especially with my with my uh, comprehension
Yes, comprehension. Good comprehension.
and even with my pronunciation because when I listen a word that sounds very interesting to me,
Mhm.
I repeat it. It's
Great.
very funny because I'm in my room listening and watching the series, and when I listen a word that I think that it's difficult to me, or I think that it's very interesting the pronunciation. I repeat it while I still watching the drama.
That's great. That's great. Actually, even perhaps you know this, but yes, what some people, some teachers, many teachers recommend to practice in English is repeating, right? Imitating the voices that you hear, imitating accents, the American accent, British accent, the way they can pronounce a word, right, in a very specific way. So that thing that you're doing is great. I think that's one of the things that also helped you a lot with English, because when you repeat that, when you imitate people in a, even in a very funny way as you're saying, it helps a lot, right? A lot. And my last question here, Lourdes, do you have any specific tendency, or are you perhaps inclined towards a very specific accent in English? Do you prefer American accents? Do you prefer a British accent, Australian accent? Which accent is the most attractive or the most interesting for you? And do you consume a lot of, let's say, media in that accent?
I think that I don't have a preference with accents.
Mhm.
I think that the most common that I consume is the American accent. But the British accent, it's very interesting to me. I think that it's because I don't know, maybe some people took it like a joke.
Okay.
I took it maybe a little like a joke too, because it's like forever and brother and that kind of termination in the in the pronunciation in the accent.
Yeah.
And actually, my mom really loves Harry Potter. And
Okay,
so
great.
when my mom's watch that those movies, sorry,
Uh-huh.
um, I I listen that kind of accent, and it results very a little funny to me.
All right.
I think that it's interesting, but it's not too attractive to me.
Okay, okay, that's really interesting to know. Yes, in many ways, right? Sometimes they use British English or even Australian English as like making fun, right? Because of the differences with the pronunciation. But it's also important that we can know those kind of differences, right? To understand all native speakers in many parts of the world, right? It could be Canada because the Canadian accent is also different from the American accent, right? Also the Irish and many other regions in which the accent is different. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm also like inclined towards the American English. That's what you're going to be working with me. But that's going to be everything for now because of the time, Lourdes. It's interesting to know now that because I'm going to be looking perhaps for some interesting videos that we're going to watch in the conversations to improve our pronunciation and to become better and to even avoid little by little making this translation in our heads and starting speaking in English and thinking in English only. All right?
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
Perfect. You're very welcome. So I'll see you tomorrow for the class. I hope you have a good night, Lourdes.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
Bye bye. See you tomorrow. Hello, good evening, Melissa. How are you?
Hi, teacher. Fine, thank you. What about you?
I'm fine, thanks, Melissa. So let's begin with today's conversation. It's going to be a little bit of practice as well. But I'm trying to identify some of the things that you can recognize as the weaknesses, all right, of your speaking. Now, this is my question over here, Melissa. What or which ones do you think are the weaknesses that you have in terms of speaking skill, Melissa? What do you think that you are not doing that good or that you can improve more? Melissa, I can hear you right now. I think your microphone is on.
I'm sorry, teacher. Yes, it was off.
Okay.
I was saying that I think I could improve with some words. I don't know exactly what words, and also with the fluency of my speaking.
Okay. Okay, good. Yes, there are always some words, right, that are hard to pronounce, or sometimes we haven't seen that word before and we don't know how to pronounce it, right? It happens a lot. And yes, in terms of fluency, everybody can always improve to be even more fluent in English. Perhaps that's the hardest part, but it's really important that little by little you can notice that you are improving, right? If you notice
Yes.
that you are doing better and better, at least each week you notice something different, that's a good thing. But the way to get there is that you need to practice every day. The good thing is that we have classes every day or we have conversations, right? But for example, on the weekends. What do you do on the weekends, Melissa, to practice English? Is there something, even it could be something simple as watching series or watching a
Yeah,
movie, listening to music? What do you do on the weekends to practice a little?
actually, now I subscribe to Gaia. It's something like Netflix, but it's a spirit of all of spirituality and consciousness,
Okay.
and all the year series are in English. So I'm watching and that's in English, but the only problem is that I when I start seeing a movie or a series, it's in the night, and I fell asleep
All right.
because I don't know if I get tired or something like that, but yes, always make to me.
All right. All right. It's important. Look, I'm asking you this because yes, it happens. It happens to many people, right? I imagine that because of the activities you had during the weekdays, because of the things you did, and also if you are in a very comfortable place, right? Sometimes I don't know if you watch those series in your bed or in your couch, right? But anyway, there is always something that can make us fall asleep, right? It can happen. But I would say then that you can also look for a different way to practice and to take even more advantage of English in a different way. What way? For example, what other thing do you believe, Melissa, that is there to practice English and to avoid that situation of getting asleep? Or also one, sorry, one disadvantage of movies is that you need a specific time to watch them, right? You need
Yeah,
free time, right? You
exactly.
need free time. So, what do you think is an alternative to even practice more English without needing that
Mm, I think also listening to music,
time? Okay, good. Yes.
and trying to know the right spelling, the right way of saying things like uh, native people,
Okay.
and also I think watch movies, but as you said, having more time. And I think it's practice because when and be present, because sometimes when I saw a movie or something like that, I am doing another things and I am understanding, but now I have to be present, like I said, and know what I'm watching, because that's
Yes.
the thing, and practice. And I think one day I wish I could do things and also listen to that and understand.
All right. Yes. I mean, it's not also bad. It's as soon or as far as you are exposed, right? You're exposed to the language, even if you listen to it, or even no. Let's analyze these two words, right? When you listen to something, you pay attention to that. When you hear something, you only process, right? That
Yeah,
like idea or that audio, but it's not paying attention. So sometimes even hearing English, it's good because your hearing, right, or your ear is being trained in a certain way. I mean, you are receiving information. Perhaps it's not going to be there as if you paid attention to it, but it's doing something, so it's not bad. But yes, one thing, listening to music is great. Sometimes the limitations, and again, I'm a big fan of music, all right? I'm a music lover. That's the thing I love in life the most. I love music. But I know that music has a limitation in terms of learning a language. And what is
yeah,
that? Sometimes in music, even in Spanish, when you don't pay that much attention to some of the lyrics, you can understand. Why? Because they speak differently, right?
yeah,
Singing is different than speaking, right? In a certain way,
yeah,
singing is different than speaking. So sometimes the words are not clear and so on and so forth. So singing, or sorry, listening to music is great, but if you want to improve even more for your, and this is for your communicative skills, if you want to improve even more on that, I wrote two things in the chat here, Melissa. One of them is the BBC podcast,
Okay.
and the other one is radio podcast. Try to look for that on your cell phone, all right, on Play Store or App Store, and try to download the apps
Okay.
that you consider is the best. Some of those apps let you download entire podcasts. All right. For example, a
Oh,
podcast can be like 15 minutes or 1 hour, and you can
yeah.
take a look at a specific podcast. For example, the BBC podcast, I recommend that because I used that a lot in the past. They have many topics, for example, music, history, art, cook, so on and so forth. And you download that, and you only listen to the conversation between the host, right, of the radio station and the person that was invited, right, the guests. And that's important. Why? Because you can do that and you can listen to that because it's only audio when you are going to your work or when you're going to your university or when you're going somewhere else. So you don't need a specific time. That's what I used to do a lot when I was learning French, for example. I used to download a podcast from French radios,
Yeah.
and when I was going to my work, I just put on my earsets and I listened to French podcast all the road to my work when I was coming back
Oh,
again. So that's, I would say, according to my experience, that's why I'm telling you, that's, I think, one of the best things that you can do to improve not only your listening skills, but also your vocabulary, your pronunciation, and your awareness of recognizing certain words. So,
yeah.
all right, you don't need free time. You can do that when you are going to somewhere else. You can do that when you are doing something else, when you're cooking, when you don't need your hands, you don't need your eyes, right? You only need your ears
Yeah.
to listen to what you're doing. All right, that's one
Yeah.
advice that I give you, Melissa.
It sounds so interesting, and I think it would me irá bien.
One more time, please, Melissa.
Me irá bien.
Ah, yeah.
It's going to.
You can say I'll do it all right. I'll do it all right.
Oh, okay.
It's like the same idea.
And
I'll do it.
and yeah. And one question is, that podcast you search in Spotify, like something like that, or it's determined application
Yes,
to search.
it's a specific app, Melissa. You have to look for
Oh,
it. Try to look for BBC Radio, I think, or try to see BBC Podcast. I don't
oh, okay,
remember very well because I used to have that, but I think is that with that app you can download the podcast that you want. All right, and you don't need internet
okay,
connection and you don't pay anything. The apps are for free and you can download all the content for free as well. Okay,
okay.
that's very interesting.
I will search it. Thank you, teacher.
Also try to look for BBC listening also, Melissa. All right, BBC listening.
Okay,
Because some time ago it was a very interesting app. I don't know if it there is there anymore. I was looking for it, I couldn't find it. But if you can find it, BBC Listening, it's a specific radio station, all right, that gives lessons, all right, English lessons with very funny and interesting examples. So you have
okay,
the script, el guion, you have the script to download, you have the lessons. For example, they are talking about the simple present and they have discussions
yeah.
about the simple present like a podcast, and it's also really interesting. So those things, those two apps would be really really good for you if you want to improve a little bit more. Okay,
Okay, thank you very much, teacher. I will search it.
great, that's perfect, Melissa. So we have a little more time, so I would like to ask you one more thing. You told me in terms of speaking. In a certain way, listening is also related to speaking. But how are you doing with your listening in big terms, Melissa? Do you feel yet that you can understand most of the things that you can listen in English? When you're watching movies, for example, or series, how much, in a percentage from 0 to 100, how much can you understand without subtitles?
I think it depends because because I think that some things I watch or I listen, I could understand too very much. Like I could say 18%, but sometimes I didn't understand too much because I think they talk too fast.
Uh-huh.
And in that moment, I think I understand on 16% and maybe on 17, 70.
70. All right, all right. It's not bad. Those are good percentages, Melissa. So to finish again today, also these apps, of course, are going to help you with that. You have to get used to write these like rapid or fast way of speaking because you know that sometimes when you go to the United States, for example, people there are not going to speak slow for you. Some people are going to do it, right? Because they recognize, okay, she's not from here, I'm going to speak slowly. But you need to get used to right to that fast speaking because that's
Yeah,
what you're going to be hearing on the streets, right? Don't worry, I'm going to
exactly.
be helping you with that too. But again, if you do what I'm telling you with those podcasts, believe me that you're going to improve even the understanding with fast speaking a lot. All right?
Okay. Very,
Great.
very much. Thank you very much, teacher.
You're very welcome, Melissa. So that's going to be everything for today. Thank you for being in today's conversation. We're going to continue
Okay.
tomorrow with the next lesson.
Okay, teacher. Bye. Have a
Perfect.
good
Have a
night.
good night. You too, Melissa. Bye bye. See you tomorrow. Hello, Andrea. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, teacher. Fine, thanks. You?
That's perfect. I'm fine, thank you. So today I'm trying to work with this thing that I was telling you, pronunciation. But first of all, I'm asking you some important things, Andrea. I want to know your perception, all right, about your skills in terms of speaking mainly and in terms of listening. Now, this is my first question, Andrea. How much do you think that you are able to understand only, right? Let's say we are watching a movie, right, in English. What's the percentage from 1 to 100 that you can understand without subtitles, Andrea?
Without titles, I think 60% or 50 also.
All right.
um, yes, also I at the part of listening of the quiz, I had problems because I have to listen 2 and 3 times to understand.
Okay, okay, good. That's why, look, today we're going to do something a little bit different, Andrea. We're going to start next, well, on Thursday. I'm also going to be like showing you some videos. So we're going to be listening to some important things and we're going to learn how to identify some words because of the way they pronounce things. All right. So this model is going to be very, very helpful to improving your listening skills. All right. The last model was for reading, perhaps, right? Reading some articles, it was good. But this month, we're going to be working with listening by watching many videos, short videos. Of course, it's not going to be 15 minutes of videos. No, it's going to be 1 minute of video, and then we're going to discuss everything you were able to understand. And I'm going to help you improve that. All right? That's one thing. Now, the second thing, Andrea, in terms of speaking, what do you think are your weaknesses, right? Your weaknesses in speaking. I mean, what things do you believe that are not that good in your speaking skills and that you can improve, Andrea?
Um, like some words like um, that I don't know maybe. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so there are certain words that you don't understand or you don't know, but is the problem related to pronunciation, to what more or less you believe, Andrea, is the biggest problem that you have with your speaking skills?
Mm,
I don't know, teacher. Um, mm-mm, I don't know.
Okay, good. Don't worry. I'm asking this to all of you, all right, all of your partners, because I want to know your perception, and sometimes you can tell me certain details so that I can look for certain exercises, all right, and you can improve with that. I know, for example, if you ask me about you, I would say that you have a very, very good and interesting knowledge about that. I know that you are very, very capable of communicating in English very well, I would say. Perhaps the things we can improve a little bit, as you were saying, some words that we can improve in terms of pronunciation, but mainly it's great because I can understand very, very clearly to all the things that you always say. And perhaps the only thing it's in it will be yes, increasing a little bit of fluency, right? To speak like a little bit more fluent and to link the words a little bit more. Because the words in English and the ideas that you transmit in English need to be linked. Sometimes three words sound like only one word, right? That's the idea of English. When you get to a very interesting level of English, you're going to start linking those words. And I think this is what we're going to practice right now, Andrea. If you take a look at this is the first exercise that we have of pronunciation. Unstressed. Stressed means that you put emphasis in that word, Andrea, right? Stress. For example, no, that's stressed. But unstressed words are words that have weak pronunciation or they are pronounced like in a very bad or unclear way. And sometimes you do that because this word is not important. For example, you have the word S, right? If you pronounce this word and you stress this word, is S, S, right? S. But here, you're going to listen to this with me, Andrea. We're going to see that sometimes we don't stress this word because it's not important in certain sentences. Let's listen to this. Tell me if you're able to listen to this, please, Andrea.
Listen to these lines from the
Okay, can you listen to it?
Yes, teacher, I can hear.
Okay, good.
Listen to these lines from the dialogue. The word as, marked in blue, is usually unstressed and pronounced with the short, unclear vowel schwa when we use it in a phrase, such as I was saying. Notice that the weak pronunciation of as can sound the same as the weak pronunciation of is or has, such as, what time is it? And everyone has heard of him.
All right. So here they are talking about as and they are comparing it with is and has because sometimes you don't pronounce this word. For example, if I read this here, if I read this stressing every word, it will be like this. As I was saying, that's stressing every word. As I was saying, but unstressed words are as was saying, right? Sawe. So it's like these words are together. Sawe. All right? Sa was saying. So that's unstressed. It's not clear. Here, stress would be what time is it? What time is it? But unstressed is what time is it? Right? What time is it? So it's like this is together. What time is it? And the same here. If you stress every word, everyone has heard of him. But if you want to be fluent, this is going to be connected or linked, and it's going to be everyone's heard of him, right? Everyone's heard of him. So this has changes to this, everyone's heard of him. That's the idea. I don't know if you understand here, Andrea, what's the difference between stress and unstressed? Do you understand the difference?
Yes, teacher.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Now let's read this, please, Andrea. Read this example.
She's about as tall as you are.
Perfect. Good. I think you're doing a great, an excellent job. Now, I'm going to read it exaggerating first. I'm going to stress every word. She's about as good as you are. Now let's listen to the example with unstressed SS.
She's about as tall as you are.
So when you unstress these words, it's like this is one word, right, Andrea? It's like as tall as tall as. She's about as tall as you are. She's about as tall as you are, right? So these two words are not stressed, are not clear, as tall as you are. So let's read one more time with that unstressed, please, Andre.
Okay, teacher. She's about as tall as you are.
Okay, one more time. This one has to be clear, right? About has to be clear. So one more time. This is clear, this is clear. This is not clear and it's like next to tall, right? As tall as. And this is clear and this is clear. So one more time, please.
She's about as tall as you are.
Okay, good. She's about as tall as you are. Let's read the second one the way you believe it is. Andrea, please.
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
Okay, good. In this case, we a little bit like stressed these words. Again, it's not incorrect. When you say as tall as you are, it's not incorrect. We're only like checking some like pronunciation, right? Things that are going to help you be more fluent. But it's not incorrect. So good. Things can't be as bad as they are. Now let's listen to it.
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
All right, sorry, not they are, they seem. So again, we can connect or link these words, right? As bad as. So things can be as bad as they seem. Things can be as bad as, right? As bad as they seem. So let's read one more time with that unstressed idea, please, Andrea.
Eh, Things can be as bad as they seem.
Good, perfect. That was pretty perfect, Andrea. Things can be as bad as they seem, right? Great. The last examples, this is the main idea. You did really well. This is the main idea. I do. Here, S is only part of this introduction. Sariko. You're going to listen and you're going to see that, or well, you're going to hear that these words are kind of together. Sariko, as a matter of fact, right? As a matter of fact, Sariko. So let's listen to it.
As I recall, you did really well.
All right. So I recall you did really well. So this is slower and this is fast and unstressed. Let's read this, please.
As recall, you did a really well.
Okay, good. Yes, the side. No, this I has to be a little bit more clear. Sorry. So I recall. One more time, only this part, please, Andrea.
So recall.
Good. Perfect. That was perfect. So I recall. Now, this one over here.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Right? And it's the same. As a matter of fact. As a matter of fact. Let's read it, please, Andrea.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Okay, perfect. Now, we finish with this. Now, I want to ask you the following. I know that we have 1 minute, perhaps 2 minutes. Andrea, how much do you use this kind of English when you speak? Here, for example, this kind of English is like a fluid English in which they are linking the words. How much do you think that you link the words when you speak, Andrea? Do you do it or do you believe that you are not doing this yet?
I'm not doing that, teacher.
Okay, and it's good. I told you, right? It's not incorrect. It's only some things to even be more fluent in English. Now, do you think that it sounds good? What do you feel about this exercise, for example, Andrea? Do you think that this is something that can help you be more like fluent in English? Do you think that this is something that can help you out? Or this is not something that you're going to be using for speaking? What do you think?
Yes, teacher. Also, for speaking and listening, because when we have to go another country or maybe USA, the people in there talks very quickly, and it's
Exactly.
important to know that.
Exactly. And as you were mentioning, right, 60%, 50%, sometimes it's because they all do this, Andrea. And I know that you know this, but it's important that we can understand. Be sure that when you go to the United States, they are not going to read this I. Hey, Andrea, she is about as tall as you are, right? They are not going to say it like that. They are going to say, hey, she's about as tall as you are, right? She's about as tall as you are. So everything is like connected. Things can be as bad as they seem, right? So I recall you did really well, right? It's a matter of fact. So in American English, at least, and in other kinds of English, they tend to link all the words. So this is what we're going to be learning here. You're going to be practicing these pronunciation exercises so that you can recognize these words separately. And when you listen to them in movies or when you go to the United States, you're going to be able to recognize those words. All right?
Okay, teacher.
Perfect. So that's it. I don't know then if you agree, Andrea. We're not going to do this every Monday, or sorry, every Tuesday and Thursday. Sometimes we're also going to be watching videos, as I told you, to improve. But do you agree with this way of working this month, Andrea? Is it good for you to practice these speaking and pronunciation exercises with me?
Yes, teacher. It's very important to know that part.
Okay, very well. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'll be seeing you tomorrow to continue with the class, Andrea.
Okay, teacher. See you
Perfect. Bye.
tomorrow.
See you
Bye,
tomorrow.
teacher.
Good night.
Hi, teacher. Good evening.
Hello, good evening, Fernando. How are you? Is everything okay?
Everything it's okay, teacher. Thank you.
Perfect. Are you ready for today's activity or the conversation?
Yes, teacher. Yes,
Great.
let's go. Let's do it.
Good. So, Fernando, we're going to do something a little bit different, but I think it's going to help you a lot, all of you.
Mhm.
Remember that last month, and some of them also were even in January with me. We were working with mainly some articles and things like that in the conversations. But now, what we're going to do is the following. First, we're going to be checking briefly to some pronunciation exercises that we have to improve our listening and to improve our speaking. And secondly, we're going to take a look at web pages as this one over here, Fernando. For example, TED ED, all right, or TED Ed, that is going to be about some videos, very short videos that we're going to watch, and we're going to try to understand everything with captions, without captions, and we're going to have some conversations about that. So this month, we're going to be working a lot more with speaking, but also with listening. I don't know if that works well for you, Fernando.
It's a great idea, teacher, because
Perfect.
well,
Why? Why do you believe? Because it's important. I'm asking you because some of you, perhaps, I'm asking you because, again, one more time, I'm repeating that. Some of you told me that you want to improve your reading skills. So with those students, I'm going to be working with some articles or reading stuff. But I realize that some of you, or most of you, are interested in learning more about listening and speaking and practicing more with that. That's why, with most of you, I'm going to be like using and adding this way of practicing English. In your case, why do you believe this is going to be good for you, Fernando?
I think that not only listening or writing are important. No, I think all of them. But I had some problems personally in the practices that we did in the last course about
All
the
right.
listening part because what I did was what I did uh, is to close my eyes
Hmm.
and listen all the all the a segment
Uh-huh.
about it, and I it was difficult for me in some words. Maybe because
Okay.
my vocabulary is not so extent, but um, I think that the pronunciation and some other things uh, have to um, mm, have to mejorar in
Oh, have to improve? Improve, you
have to
can say.
improve in me
Okay,
my
okay,
speaking, my
that's
listening.
great. That's great. I mean, it's great because it's great that I can know what your perhaps problems in that specific parts are. It's great that I can know that because I know what kind of exercises I can give you or what kind of strategies I can teach you, right, to improve your listening skills. And believe me, Fernando, you're not the first student who is telling me that, like perhaps problem or difficulty with the listening part of the Pearson platform. So I realized, even from the first courses, that the speaking part is very, very hard in the sense that you have to really pay attention and understand, right, all of the words, but not also understand the words, but also try to read the question that you're going to have and be sure that you are paying attention to the right information. And that sometimes can be a little bit tricky, right? So that's why I think this month is going to be very good for you because we're going to be working a lot of listening, all right, with watching this video, listening to them, and I'm going to help you identify some words, how to recognize if they are talking right in, well, present, past, the adjectives that they are using, or the words, how they are contracting or linking the words. Because that's the thing of English, as in Spanish, right? When you speak Spanish and you are native in Spanish, you tend to link or to connect the words. It's the same like in English, right? We tend to link and connect the words when you are native. So they don't read the words one by one. They read the words as if it was part of only one word. French is more noticeable with that, but English is also one thing. So we're going to begin with this lesson, this pronunciation lesson that is related to that, Fernando. Tell me and let me know if you're able to listen to this, Fernando, please.
Listen to these lines from
Can you listen?
I can listen to you.
Okay, good. So let's work this. It's very short, as you can see, very, very short, but it's going to help us with this idea of connecting words. And this is going to be good for listening and also for speaking. So let's listen to it.
Listen to these lines from the dialogue. The word as, marked in blue, is usually unstressed and pronounced with the short, unclear vowel schwa when we use it in a phrase, such as I was saying. Notice that the weak pronunciation of as can sound the same as the weak pronunciation of is or has, such as, what time is it? And everyone has heard of him.
Good. So let's understand this part, Fernando. Sometimes we don't need to stress all the words, right? When you stress all the words is when you are learning English, and that's great because you need to stress the words to understand. For example, this, right? Listen to these lines from the dialogue. But if you read it more like fluently, it's going to be listen to these lines from the dialogue, right? A little bit more like rapid. But in terms of other expressions as the word as, right? This is as. If you read this with stress, it means put emphasis in all the words. It will be like this. As I was saying, as I was saying, but if you want to be fluent in English, you're going to be unstressing the words, for example, the word as, and it's going to be as I was saying, right? As I was saying. So as I was saying is not the same as I was saying. I'm making a contraction there. I'm unstressing the word. It's not clear, right? It's unclear. It's pronounced in a very weak way. The same with is and with has. Here, if you pronounce this with all the emphasis and all the stressed words, it will be, what time is it? But if you go to the United States, you're not going to listen to that. They are going to ask you, what time is it? Right? What time is it? Even without the contraction, you're going to listen to that like that. What time is it? And the same here. Everyone has heard of him. But a native English speaker is going to say something like, everyone's heard of him, right? Everyone's heard of him. So this has is being reduced to s. Everyone's heard of him. So this is what we need to learn here. But you are going to be unstressing the word s. All right, s. Listen this example. Listen to this example.
She's about as tall as you are.
All right. Again, if I read this with all the stress, it will be she's about as tall as you are. That's with all the stress. But when it's unstressed, these words are like together. As tall as, as tall as. She's about as tall as you are. She's about as tall as you are. All right, one more time.
She's about as tall as you are.
All right, as tall as. So as you can see, Fernando, I don't know if you're able to recognize the difference. If it's a stress, is as tall as you are. But unstressed would be as tall as you are. As tall as you are. Let's read to practice, please, Fernando.
Okay, teacher. She's about as tall as you are.
Okay, good. Now let's only read these three words, but let's connect these words a little bit more, Fernando. Like
Okay.
as tall as. As
Okay.
tall as.
Okay. She's about as tall as you are.
Good, perfect, right? As tall as you are. So sometimes many people don't understand this when they only listen to this because they don't realize that there, right, are three words. She's about as tall as you are. As tall as you are. As tall as, right? They don't know what as tall as. It means like tall, parece robar, something like that, but no, right? When you link the words, they sound like one word, but is this unstressed like effect? All right, she's about as tall as you are. This one, read this one, Fernando, the way you believe is going to be.
I read.
Yes, please.
Okay. Things can be as bad as they seem.
Okay, good. As bad as they seem. Let's check the example.
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
Good, right? So we're going to do the same here. As bad as, right? As bad as. Things can be as bad as they seem, right? Things can be as bad as they seem. As bad as they seem. So again, if you get to pronounce this very fluently, it's going to be like one word connected to the other words. So someone that doesn't speak English is not going to recognize that you have all these words here. Because if you listen to it again, everything is like connected or linked. Things can be as bad as they seem, right? Things can be as bad as they seem. So, as bad as. One more time, linking a little bit more the words, please, Fernando.
Things can be as bad as you seem. As bad
Good.
as bad as they seem.
Great, right? As bad as they seem. It happens the same here, Fernando. The first idea is not important. That's why you unstress the words. Shall recall is not important. This is important. You did really well. As a matter of fact, is not important. This is introduction. What matters is I do. So you're going to listen and they're going to pronounce this as one word. Saricol. Saricol. And this one, it's a matter of fact. It's a matter of fact. So let's listen.
As I recall, you did really well.
Right? Saricol. So let's read this, please, Fernando.
As I recall, you did really well.
Perfect. And this one over here.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Let's read it, please.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Perfect. Now, we're going to watch one last thing. This is very, like, you know, basic, but it's interesting because it's one of the words or one of the pronunciation rules that most people don't apply in English when they speak like English and they are Spanish native speakers. So, for example, the word or the words th, right? Th. How do you pronounce the th in English, Fernando?
like an F.
Okay. In which words can you find that specific th? Can you give me one word or two words using the th, please?
Cell phone.
Okay. Th is going to be cell phone, right? But that's ph, right? That's going to be ph. But what about the th? The th.
TH.
Yes.
Sorry, TH. Like thought, think,
Okay.
but it's
Exactly.
pronounced like T.
Exactly. It's going to be like th, but
Mhm.
it's going to be pronounced like, and I'm going to show you this very briefly. Let's take a look at this, only this part, because I know that even people who are with advanced English are still having problems with this. So to sound a little bit more like native, let's listen to this.
Stick out your tongue. Rest your teeth gently on your tongue and blow. Can you say...
Right? So that's the procedure that we have to do. Of course, it's not going to be like this, right? This is exaggerated. But your tongue, right? Your tongue has to be like in between your teeth. So it's going to be like, right?
Think.
Exactly. So it's going to be, one more time, it has to be like with these sounds, right? So think, thought, thin, right? The, they. So those words, and we're going to listen to the examples.
Can you say these words? Think. Thin.
Let's read those two words, please, Fernando.
Think, thin.
There you go. So all these ideas, right? Again, I know that you know this already, but it's important that we can reinforce this to even right speak a little bit more natively. So it's going to be like a little bit more like exaggerated, but it's going to help us out. Now, we're going to stop here because of the time, Fernando. I don't know if you have any questions or comments before finishing today's class.
I think so important, teacher. For example, if we speak about think and think, or
Yes.
is or when you pronounce think, talking about an object is different. The pronunciation.
Yes, it's going to
It,
have, but the main difference is going to be like in the last part, right? Think or think. I think that you are okay, or there are many things. But yes, it depends on what? On the last part and also on the meaning and also the accent. But what do you know about the difference between those two words, Fernando?
after of this, after of your explain,
Uh-huh.
I think the first part is the same. Think
Yes,
and think.
exactly. Yes, exactly.
The first,
Exactly.
the thing.
The first part in both cases is going to be the same. But I think the most common mistake, and to finish because I know the next person is waiting here, is between three and tree, right? That's
Uh-huh.
different because
True.
tree doesn't have the H, right? That is going to be like the plant, right? And three that has the H and is going to have the number. But yes, when you're talking about think and thing, you're talking about the difference in the last part because the first part is going to be kind of similar.
Or maybe with the complement, no?
Yes, exactly. It's going to be the context or the ideas or the objects that you are using with that specific word, but it's a little bit different in the last part, mainly.
Okay, teacher.
Okay, so we're going to be learning those differences. We're going to go back to think, and we're going to even learn. There are words like think that mean something different, and we're going to go to that in the next conversation that is Thursday. All right?
Thank you, teacher. Thank you. See you
Perfect. See
tomorrow.
you tomorrow, Fernando. Bye bye.
Bye-bye, teacher.
Hello, Abel. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, teacher.
Hello. How are you? Is everything okay?
Yes, teacher.
Perfect. Good. Sorry for making you wait. We're going to use a little bit more time to compensate it. So Look, Abel, this month we're going to be doing something a little bit different that is related to the things we do on Tuesday and Thursday. First, we're going to be working these pronunciation rules that I don't assign because they are part of the things I evaluate these days. And secondly, we're going to be also watching, instead of reading some articles, we're going to be watching short, very short videos, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes maximum. But I'm going to be stopping the videos every 30 seconds or so to see what we are able to understand. All right. In that way, we're going to be practicing not only speaking, but we're also going to be practicing listening because most of your partners or some of them have told me, right, that they are struggling a little bit with listening. That's why this month we're going to be working with listening a little bit more. I don't know if that works with you. What do you think about that, Abel? Do you think that's going to be a good idea for you?
Yes, teacher. It's okay.
Perfect. Good. So I'm also going to recognize, and I want to recognize your perception on your speaking skills and your listening skills to know how much I need to work with you. So, Abel, I know what you're capable of. I know that you have a very good level in English and you have proven that, right, throughout the course, and that's great. But I want to know your perception now, Abel. What do you think are your weaknesses in terms of speaking a bit? What do you think that are things that you need to improve and you feel that you are struggling or having problems with?
Um, well, sometimes I have problems with when I have to conjugate the statements um, and order the, of my ideas. Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. So conjugation and the organization, right, related to your
Yes.
ideas. Okay. And in terms of listening, Abel, I'm going to ask you two questions. First, if you watch a movie or if you watch series in English, let's say without subtitles, how much of the movie or the series are you able to understand from 0 to 100?
Um, 50%, teacher.
Okay, 50%. Why do you think is that, Abel? What do you think is the hardest part of listening to something and don't using subtitles?
Um, the pronunciation. Yes.
Okay,
And
okay, so tell me.
sometimes the the words uh, are unidos. And then
They are, you can say joint or linked.
yes, linked, and I can't differentiate the words. Yes.
Okay, okay, yes. Look, actually, this first rule or thing that we're going to be related to learning with pronunciation is related to that a bit. How we link some words because they sound like one word, right? Sometimes they sound like one word. And that's something that happens a lot. It happens also in Spanish, it happens in English. The language in which it happens most is French, but English is also hard because the way you link the words. So good. Those are things then, Abel, that we're going to be working this month. We're going to be learning some rules and we're going to be applying and understanding, right, different ways of pronunciation and the way people connect or link words because they sound like only one thing and it's kind of harder to understand. Now, to begin working with that, Abel, let's begin with this specific pronunciation exercise that is unstressed. What is unstressed? Something unstressed is something that is pronounced weak, all right, weakly, in a very weak way. Something unstressed is something that doesn't have emphasis. All right. So here we are going to unstress the word s. S. Why? Because the context says that there are other words that are more important. And here it's going to happen what you were telling me, Abel. We are going to be connecting the words in a very interesting way. So let's listen to this, please.
Listen to these lines from the dialogue. The word as, marked in blue, is usually unstressed and pronounced with the short, unclear vowel schwa when we use it in a phrase, such as I was saying. Notice that the weak pronunciation of as can sound the same as the weak pronunciation of is or has, such as, what time is it? And everyone has heard of him. Listen to.
Sorry. Now let's hear this, Abel. Here, if I read this stressing all the words, Abel, it will be as I was saying, right? As I was saying. But native English speakers are not going to read it or to say this way. They are going to unstress the words that are not that important, and they are going to connect this as it was part of only one word, sawas. All right, so this is going to be sawas saying, right? It's different. If I pronounce everything as I was saying, but they are going to read it like sawas. Sawas saying the same here. What time is it? That is stressing all the words, but if you unstress the S, is going to be what time is it? Right? What time is it? So again, this is like connected. What time is it? Eso suena como si terminara. It sounds like it finishes like with ist. What time is it? Right? And here the same. Everyone has heard of him, but you're not going to listen to that. You're going to listen to everyone's heard of him, right? Everyone's heard of him. So this has is changing to s. Everyone's heard of him. Even this last part, if you realize, it's like here you have only like two words, like everyone's heard of him. Everyone's heard of him. So that's what we need to get to do, Adele. We're going to be connecting. Here, we're going to pay attention to S. Here, let's listen to this example, and you're going to tell me and read this to see what are the words that are linked.
She's about as tall as you are.
One more time.
She's about as tall as you are.
Good. So what do you think is happening here, Abel, with S, tall S? What is happening there?
There are it sounds like stalls.
Good, exactly. So the words S are unstressed, right? They are unclear. They are pronounced right in a very weak way. So the pronunciation is going to be stallus, right? Stallus. Instead of as tall as, you're going to say stallus. So the entire sentence would be, she's about as tall as you are. And that sometimes is hard for someone that doesn't speak English or who's learning English. It's hard to understand, but it's not that. It's part of the learning process. So one more time, she's about as tall as you are. Let's read that, please, Abel.
She's about as tall as you are.
Good, great, great. It sounded great, Abel. She's about as tall as you are, right? She's about as tall as you are. And even if you want, you can put a little more emphasis here, and this make it like that. For example, she's about as tall as you are, right? But both ways are okay. The main idea here is that this is link. But if you read this as a native English speaker, you're going to link maybe all the words. She's about as tall as you are, right? She's about as tall as you are. The same here. Try to read this one, please, Abel, in the way you believe it's pronounced.
Things can be as bad as they seem.
Okay, great, great. I like the pronunciation of it. Great. Things can be as bad as, right? As bad as bad as they seem, right? As bad as they seem. Good. Let's listen to it.
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
Good, right? And if you realize, they make this slower and they make this a little bit clearer, but this is unclear and this is more like linked. One more time,
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
right? Things can be as bad as, and this is linked. Things can be as bad as they seem, right? And this is like more, like with more emphasis. So let's read one more time, please. Okay.
Things c- things can be as bad as they seem.
Okay, good. One more time, but this time try to link this a little bit more, like as bad as. One more time, please.
Things can be as bad as they seem.
Good. Perfect. And of course, as you are able to recognize, right, this is the same a ver, side recall, right? Side recall. You're not going to say, as I recall. If you want, of course, you can do it. It's correct. But if you want to be more fluent and you want to apply this pronunciation and stress words, you can read this as Sai, right? Sai recall, you did really well. Sorry, sorry. So it's like one big word. Sorry. Sai recall, you did really well. Let's listen,
As I recall, you did really well.
right? So this is fast, this is unclear, but this is clear. You did really well. So let's read this, please, Ade.
So I recall you did really well.
Perfect. There you go. Very, very good. And the last one, the same idea. The first is like connected. As a matter of fact, as a matter of fact, right? I do. And this is the most important part. That's why this is unstressed. You have to unstress, Abel, you have to unstress the words that are not important. For example, here, the idea you did really well is important. Here, I do is important. But these are introductions to what you're going to say. That's why it's unstressed. So,
As a matter of fact, I do.
right? As a matter of fact, I do. So this is stressed and this is unstressed. Let's read that, please, Ali.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Good, right? As a matter of fact, I do. So I do is stressed. As a matter of is unstressed. I don't know if you understand this, Abel, and if you see the importance that this can have when you understand some words that are connected and to improve your pronunciation. Do you think that this can be helpful for you?
Yes, teacher.
All right. And my last question, perhaps to be finishing here, Abel, how much in your speaking do you think that you apply these linked words? Do you think that you use that a lot, or do you think that you have not been using those linked words yet?
Uh, I don't use this link yet.
Okay, okay, good. You can use the present perfect if you want over there, right? I haven't used. Good. I haven't used those link words yet, but this month and in these practices, you're going to start using these linking words because they are going to help you doing what? Understand even more in listening and improve your fluency in terms of speaking. All right?
Okay, teacher.
Great. So we're going to finish here. Today was more like theoretical. The next conversation is going to be watching one video and discussing about that. Thank you for being here, Abel, and I'll see you tomorrow in class. Have a good night.
Thanks, teacher. Good night, teacher.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello, good evening, Jasmine. Are you there?
Yes, teacher, good evening.
Great. How are you? Is everything okay?
Yes.
Good. Let's begin today's class, Jasmine. But first, I think you were not able to join yesterday. Jasmine, are you in the new class of Pearson?
Yes, teacher.
You are, right?
I think yes.
Okay. Just in case, I'm going to check that one more time, please, Jasmine, so that I'm sure that you are here in the list. You're going to let me know if your username is on this list that I'm going to show you. All right? Good. So, it's loading. Okay, I have to sign in again. Yes, this is crazy. All right. So I'm signing in. Great. I'm going to the product. And I'm going to go to the list. So I have 9 students over here. Let's see if you are part of this list. This is the list, Jasmine. Are you in this list?
No, teacher.
No, right? Yes. Because yesterday, at the beginning of the class, I think it was at the very beginning, we were joining this, Jasmine. This is something we did yesterday. So let's do it now, please, Jasmine. Go to my English lab and you're
Okay.
going to join this class. All right? You're going to join this class. I'm going to send you the ID to join the class that is in the chat. So if you check the chat, you're going to find 2 things over there, Jasmine. The link of Pearson and the ID that you need to use to join the course. Let's do that now so that you are in class and you receive the assignments, please, Jasmine. All right. And remember to do that. Go to my English lab, go to settings, course management, and join a course. In my screen, I'm showing you where you have to go. All right, you have to go over there.
Solo me sale a 8, teacher, a 7.
Yes, select any of those. All right, select any of those. Cualquiera de esos selecciona.
Ya.
Now you have to go to settings, right? Or if you see there, join a course, unirse a course.
¿Me sale una clave?
Yes, it's in the chat, Jasmine. In the chat, the ID is KFAK. All right, it's in my screen. I'm going to show you. Well, it's in the chat. Again, KFAK dash, no, guion PWME. One more time in Spanish, KFAK guion PWME. All right,
¿Todo en
everything is here.
minúscula o mayúscula?
No, everything in capital letter. ¿Con mayúscula, Laura?
¿Transferir calificaciones?
No, don't transfer grades. Don't transfer grades. All right, the negative one, la opción negativa.
Ok, teacher, ya está.
Good, perfect. Thank you. I'm going to verify that you're here. Voy a verificar. So
How can
that
I say ya está?
you can say it's done. It's done. All right. Or directly done. In the chat, I'm writing, Jasmine. You can say it's done. It's like saying está hecho. But of course, it's ya está. All right. It's done. Or simply you can say done. When you say done in English, all right, cuando dices ese done o it's done, significa está hecho, ya terminado, ¿no? Ya está. There you go. Perfect. I'm going to check, Jasmine. Yes, you are here. It's done for you. Ya está hecho, entonces, como lo dijiste. Now, please, Jasmine, the second thing, go to assignments and verify that you received the assignments that I sent, please, Jasmine. Yesterday, I already sent the assignments for the first unit. Check assignments and tell me if you received them, please.
Yes. Altísimo.
You have them, right? It's always the same amount, the same number, Jasmine. It seems a lot, siempre parece un poquito más, pero siempre son las unidades de 19 a 25 aproximadamente asignaciones que hay que hacer. But remember that some of them are only reading, ¿no? Recordemos que solamente algunas son leer nada más. Good. So, Jasmine, you have yesterday, today, Wednesday, Thursday. You have until Friday at 11:59 p.m. All right, hasta el viernes a medianoche to finish those assignments. All right?
Okay.
Good. And one last thing also, Jasmine, but I think you are here. Are you in Google Classroom? in the class of my Google Classroom here?
In Drive?
No, it's going to be this time Google Classroom. We also did yesterday, but I'm going to see if I find your name here.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, you are here, Jasmine. Remember
sí.
that to use this, right, to use Google Classroom, you have to go to Google Classroom anytime you want, and you have to go to the class A9 Intermediate. All right, in this Google Classroom class, Jasmine, you're going to find all the material that I'm going to be using in class and all the practices that we are going to be doing. All
Teacher,
right.
solo me tengo que descargar Google Classroom.
If you want, you can do it, Jasmine, but it's not obligatory.
Okay.
All right. Good. Perfect. That's it then. Now let's take advantage of today's, and I'm going to explain this in Spanish so that it's clear. Este mes vamos a hacer algo diferente, Jasmine. Quizá va a ser un reto, pero es muy interesante. Vamos a trabajar bastante lo que es speaking y listening en las conversaciones de los días martes y jueves. ¿De qué manera? First, primero, we're going to take a look at some rules of pronunciation. Primero vamos a ver unas reglas de pronunciación y practicar cómo hablar más fluidamente. First thing. The second thing, lo segundo, is that we're going to start watching some videos. Vamos a empezar a ver unos videos bastante cortitos, de 1 minuto, 2 minutos. And I'm going to be stopping every 30 seconds. Voy a estar parando cada 30 segundos para ver lo que fuimos capaces de entender, para entender juntos quizá algo que no se ha podido entender y para mejorar de esa manera lo que es listening and speaking. All right? So that's what we're going to be doing this month. Es la manera que vamos a trabajar las conversaciones de este mes, Jasmine. Okay? So to begin this, and to begin with this, para comenzar, let's begin with this pronunciation rule. Vamos a empezar con esta regla de pronunciación y aplicarla para ver cómo nos ayuda a mejorar. So, let's first listen to this, Jasmine. Listen to it, please.
Listen to these lines from the dialogue. The word as, marked in blue, is usually unstressed and pronounced with the short, unclear vowel schwa when we use it in a phrase, such as I was saying. Notice that the weak pronunciation of as can sound the same as the weak pronunciation of is or has, such as, what time is it? And everyone has heard of him.
All right. So here, what we're going to learn and what's going to be helpful for us, Jasmine, lo que vamos a poner y lo que va a ser de ayuda para nosotros, es que evidentemente primero tenemos que empezar ya a manejar cada vez más y más inglés, right? But the second thing, lo segundo es que cuando manejamos el inglés, tenemos ya que empezar a contraer y conectar las palabras como lo haría un nativo. Por ejemplo, for example, if I read this as like pronouncing every word, stressing every word. Si pronuncio como estresando, o en inglés se dice expressing, pero poniendo énfasis en cada palabra. Sería as I was saying, right? As I was saying. But a native English speaker, all right, is not going to do that. Un nativo del inglés no va a decir eso. Él lo va a leer de esta manera. So I was saying, so I was saying, right? So they connect and link the words. Ellos conectan y unen las palabras y quitan énfasis a algunas palabras como as, que aquí va a sonar solamente como as I was saying, en lugar de as I was saying, right? There's a difference, hay una diferencia. Lo mismo acá. It happens the same. The word is va a desaparecer de alguna manera. Diciendo todo tal cual sería, what time is it? Pero allá no vas a escuchar que te preguntan de esa manera. In the United States you're going to hear, allá tú vas a escuchar lo siguiente. What time is it? Right? What time is it? So is disappearing. Está prácticamente desapareciendo ese is. What time is it? Lo mismo acá. Everyone has heard of him. Eso es pronunciando todo. Es una lectura de los que estamos aprendiendo, los que aprenden inglés. Pero ellos van a decir, everyone's heard of him. Everyone's heard of him. So this has, este has se está reduciendo a un everyone's heard of him. Alright, so that's what we need to practice here. Es lo que vamos a practicar acá, Jasmine. En lugar de leer esto nuevamente palabra por palabra, she's about as tall as you are. Ella es casi tan alta como tú. Vamos a leer, she's about as tall as you are. Y como ves, aquí no estoy leyendo tall as you are. No, I'm saying as tall as, as tall as. So, she's about as tall as you are. Y escuchemos.
She's about as tall as you are.
All right? She's about as tall as you are. She's about as tall as you are. So let's read this, please, Jasmine.
She's about as tall as you are.
Ok. One more time, vamos a platicar primero esta parte de acá. No está mal, pero vamos a poner énfasis en este tall y estos como hilos que se conectan de tall. As tall as, as tall as. Let's repeat that, please, Jasmine.
As tall as, as tall
Good.
as.
As tall as, as tall as. Ahora hazlo parte de la oración. Now you have to make it part of the sentence, Jasmine. She's about as tall as you are. Let's read, please.
She's about as tall as you are.
Good. Great. That was great, Jasmine. Estaba súper bien. Now, those are connections. That's the way you need to speak to sound more natively. Y es la manera en que se tienen que hablar para sonar de una manera un poco más nativa, entre comillas. ¿Ok? Es muy importante. Here it happens the same. Aquí pasa lo mismo, Jasmine. Things, si pronuncio cada palabra tal cual, ¿ok? If I pronounce every word, if I stress every word, it will be like this. Sería de esa manera. Things can't be as bad as they seem. Right? Things can be as bad as they seem. Pero no vamos a leer así, ¿verdad? Vamos a leer conectando. Entonces va a ser, things can be as bad as they seem. As bad as, right? The same. Va a pasar lo mismo que hace rato. As bad as. So, things can be as bad as they seem. Things can be as bad as they seem. Let's listen to it.
Things can't be as bad as they seem.
All right. And even here, en la última parte del lo hace más lento. Pero eso tiene que estar conectado. Things can be as bad as they seem. Right? Let's repeat this part, please, Jasmine. As bad as.
As bad as.
Good. One more time. As bad as.
As bad as.
Good. Now let's read the whole sentence, please, Jasmine.
Things can be as bad as they seem.
Good. Great. You're doing a great job. Lo está haciendo súper bien esa conexión, Jasmine. Things can be, las cosas no pueden ser, as bad as they seem, tan mal como parecen. Así que como ves acá, Jasmine, este as, es para comparaciones también. She's about as tall as you are. Ella es casi o aproximadamente tan alta como tú. Things can be as bad as they seem. Las cosas no pueden ser tan malas como parecen. Entonces, tan como. All right? As tall as bad as, tan alto como, tan malo como. All right? That's one use of as. Now, let's go to the next two. Vamos a los siguientes dos. La misma lógica, Jasmine. Si yo pronunciaría todo tal cual, lo haría, as I recall, you did really well. Pero no voy a decir así. Conectando sería, Sarri, all right? Saricol. Saricol, you did really well. Saricol, you did really well.
As I recall, you did really well.
Right? So this part is slower. Esta parte es más lenta, la última. But the part with S, pero la parte que tiene este S is going to be like fast. Va a ser rápido. One more time. Saricol, you did really well. So let's read this first part first, please, Jasmine. Saricol.
Saricol is
Saricol. Saricol. Good. One more time. Saricol.
Saricol, you did really well.
Good. Perfect. One more time, please. The whole sentence, Jasmine.
Sorry. Is Saricol?
Good.
Is correct?
Correct.
Saricol, you did really well.
Great. You're doing a great job, Jasmine, again. Nuevamente haciendo muy buen trabajo.
As I recall, you did really well.
Right? Saricol, tal como recuerdo, o como recuerdo, tú lo hiciste muy bien. You did really well, right? So I recall you did really well. And the last one, y el último para terminar.
Or I recall.
So I recall. La palabra como tal es as. Pero como estamos haciendo el unstress es poner, no poner énfasis, pronunciar débilmente, pronunciar rápidamente. Eso es un unstress, porque no es importante. Entonces ahí recién suena como un s, justamente. Recall. Pronuncias una A, que suena como de Jasmine. Hay una A que suena como pero es tan débil que casi se pierde. Con el tiempo tú vas a pronunciar más y más esa A tipo pero más débil, pero va a estar ahí. ¿Cómo? Recall, right? Recall. One more time, please, Jasmine.
I recall.
One more time. Una vez más. Hagamos pero notar un poquito más esa recall.
I recall.
Good.
I recall.
Perfect. That's great. Cuando tú lo pronuncias así, eso te ayuda a entender qué cosas. Bueno, te ayudan dos cosas, Jasmine. Cuando escuches o veas alguna película o alguien te hable, ellos te van a hablar así. No te lo van a hablar clarito, palabra por palabra, ¿no? Te van a hablar así rápido. Entonces tú tienes que saber reconocer que cuando alguien te está diciendo recall, no puede ser ni is, no puede ser has, no puede ser otra palabra que no sea s, right? Recall. Como recuerda, you did really well. Ahora el último, que es la misma lógica, Jasmine. Pronunciando todo, if you stress every word, it will be, sería, as a matter of fact, right? As a matter of fact, I do. Pero no pronunciamos todo, ¿verdad? Tenemos que no pronunciar o pronunciar débilmente las palabras no importantes. So it's going to be, as a matter of fact. As a matter of fact, I do. As a matter of fact, I do. Let's listen.
As a matter of fact, I do.
All right. As a matter of fact, I do. As a matter of fact, I do. So let's repeat, please, Jasmine.
As a matter of fact, I'm sorry. Teacher, how can I listen again, please?
It's going to be, as a matter of fact, all right? As a matter of fact, I do. As a matter of fact, I do.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Good.
So off is no pronunciation.
Yes, it's pronounced, but it's also weak. También se pronuncia, pero bastante débil. Mira, escucha una vez más. As a matter of fact. Entonces yo no digo as a matter of fact, sino digo of fact. As a matter of fact. As a matter of fact. Entonces está entre esta R y esta F hay una O débil con una F más débil aún. As a matter of fact, I do. Try do it, please, Jasmine.
Matter of fact, I do.
Good, that's better. One more time. As a matter of fact, I do.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Great, there you go. Entonces tenemos esta primera lección ya terminada. Usamos más tiempo de lo que tendríamos, pero está bien, porque era importante ver esto. Además nos unimos a la clase. Pero eso es lo que tenemos que trabajar mucho, Jasmine, para que podamos mejorar mucho la pronunciación y también lo que es el listening. ¿Te parece ver todo este tipo de cosas en las clases, las conversaciones de martes y jueves, Jasmine?
Sí, teacher, mucho.
Great. Then that's what we're going to do. Pero además de esto vamos a ver videos. Y yo te voy a enseñar a escuchar mejor en inglés. ¿Cómo se hace eso? Vamos a escuchar, como te dije, 30 segundos. Voy a ver lo que tú has podido escuchar. Y vamos a repetir tanto esa parte que te voy a hacer notar cómo las personas están pronunciando en inglés para que puedas reconocer las palabras, porque ellos conectan las palabras como acá, pero cuando las escuchas y no conoces bien, no te das cuenta. Pero es lo que vamos a trabajar este mes. All right?
Okay, teacher.
Good, perfect. So thank you for being in today's conversation, today's practice, Jasmine. I hope you have a good night and see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.